Good evening. My name is Myron Belkine. I'm president of the National Press Club. Thank you for being here tonight. The National Press Club is the world's leading professional organization for journalists, and tonight is one of our most exciting nights, because tonight we recognize an outstanding journalist with our highest honor, the Fourth Estate Award. This year's recipient is Charlie Rose. He's one of the most acclaimed interviewers and broadcast journalists of our time. For the past 40 years, Charlie's intimate conversations have brought us closer to people like Steve Jobs, Lauren Bacall, Mr. Rogers, and Julia Child. He talks to world leaders and powerful personalities. He covers subjects ranging from politics to Pavarotti. All this makes Charlie Rose a must-watch each night, as I'm sure is true for many of you, if not all of you. Those who don't or can't stay up late to watch his show on PBS can see Charlie each morning, of course, on CBS This Morning, or perhaps on Bloomberg Television later in the day. This is one busy man, or as somebody in another publication wrote, a marathon man. We are lucky to have him here. I'm going to introduce the head table, and we'll follow the tradition that we do for our press club lunches, where as I announce each person, please stand up briefly. Please hold your applause until I complete the names of everyone at the head table. So, starting from my right, Laurie Russo, Managing Director of Stanton Communications and co-chair of the committee that planned tonight's event. Al Hunt, columnist for Bloomberg. Nora O'Donnell, Charlie's co-host on CBS This Morning. On the other side of the podium is Jody Schneider, the Congress team leader of Bloomberg and the co-chair of the committee that arranged tonight's dinner. Our guest of honor, Charlie Rose. Barbara Cochran of the University of Missouri and president of the National Press Club Journalism Institute. And Leon Wheelster, literary editor of the New Republic. Also with us tonight is Marvin Kalb, a recent recipient of the Fourth Estate Award. Marvin, will you please stand? Can we move it up a little bit, please? There are several past presidents of the National Press Club here tonight. Would all of you stand for a moment, please? Thank you. Thank you for all of your service. One former president is not with us tonight, but he does deserve special recognition. More than 40 years ago, our president at the time, Don Larrabee, conceived of and brought us our very first Fourth Estate Award dinner, honoring the great Walter Cronkite. Don has been instrumental in putting together countless Fourth Estate dinners since then. Thank you, Don, for giving the club its signature event. We wish you were here. I'd also like to recognize the current leadership of the National Press Club and the National Press Club Journalism Institute. Will board members and officers please stand for a moment? And thank you for all that you do. And now to tell us about the National Press Club Journalism Institute is its president, Barbara Cochran.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight. I'm especially pleased that we're saluting Charlie Rose. Charlie has been a friend of many years and was a colleague at the CBS Washington Bureau when he anchored the late-night news program Night Watch. Like everyone else, I'm a big admirer of Charlie's abilities as an interviewer and leader of thoughtful conversation. And I also owe Charlie a personal debt of gratitude. He is the person who first introduced me to my husband, John Cochran. The National Press Club Journalism Institute is the nonprofit educational arm of the National Press Club. As the journalism profession evolves in new ways, the Institute provides training programs designed to keep journalists at the forefront of innovative reporting tools and techniques. The Institute also honors great journalism through its annual awards program and works to build the next generation of journalists through its scholarship program. Tonight, I want to take a moment to tell you about this year's scholarship recipient. He is Jose Valley, a journalism student from North Carolina who spoke at our awards dinner this summer. His personal story is quite extraordinary, but rather than my telling it, let's hear from Jose himself.
I want to be a journalist. I wish I could tell you what type of journalism I'd like to pursue, but the thing is, I'm not sure. I love designing graphics, taking photographs, writing stories, making advertisements, laying out pages, anchoring broadcasts, editing video clips, you name it, I love it. Unless it has to do with sports, but that's another story. This is what separated me from the rest of the staff at First Flight's news magazine, Nighthawk News magazine. While they all tended to focus on one thing, I love doing it all. So I guess I was different, or I am different. And there's one particular difference that's motivated me to overachieve in everything I do. One particular difference that I've only shared with those closest to me. And at this time, I'd like to make this my own sort of coming out story. I am an undocumented immigrant. I don't know why I kept it a secret for this long, but I did. And like I said, it pushed me to work hard, but it hurt me too. Because after being admitted to my dream school, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and getting admitted into several exclusive first-year programs, I couldn't attend due to finances. North Carolina law requires undocumented students, even those with deferred action for childhood arrivals, to pay out-of-state tuition without any financial aid. So, like the hundreds of thousands of other US students in my situation, I'm different, diverse. And the thing about diversity and adversity is that they share one thing in common, overcoming. And that's what I did. I overcame the disappointment, and with the help of the National Press Club and some special people, I will be attending Durham Tech, a community college outside of Chapel Hill, which will give me the chance to volunteer in the Chapel Hill News Studio. And all the while, I'll be grateful.
I can tell from the reaction that you agree he's a really remarkable young man. And I can tell you he received a standing ovation in this ballroom at the end of his remarks. And because of your support of events like tonight's dinner, the Journalism Institute is able to help promising young journalists like Jose. So thank you for being here, and thank you for helping the next generation of great journalists. Now, here's Myron.
What a moving story. What a moving story. I have to tell you, calling Jose to tell him about his scholarship was one of the most memorable moments I have had as president of the National Press Club. We did a hookup. We did a hookup with his journalism class at 8 in the morning, and it was spontaneous. It was, as I said, so moving. The National Press Club Journalism Institute is a worthy cause, as you can see, and by attending tonight's dinner, you are contributing to it. You can also contribute by participating in tonight's silent auction. Some great items are up for bid in the lobby. These include a week-long stay at a magnificent home in France, VIP tickets to The Daily Show with Jon Stewart in New York, and dinner at Rose's Luxury, named by Bon Appetit magazine as the best new restaurant in the country, and it is right here in DC. And there are many more, as you'll see displayed on the table outside. So please take a moment during dinner to have a look and place your bids. Bidding closes at 8:15 p.m., which is in 25 minutes, so there's not much time. And a special thank you goes out to our silent auction sponsors who are listed in your program. Also tonight, we are honored to acknowledge the contributions of a very special group of sponsors. We have two gold-level sponsors tonight, Bloomberg and Toyota, both of which have been longtime supporters of the Press Club Journalism Institute. Bloomberg has been a generous supporter for many years, including funding our Bloomberg Classroom for Electronic Journalism. Reporters and editors affiliated with Bloomberg have been mainstays of the National Press Club and the Institute. Two members of the Journalism Institute's current board, John Hughes and Angela Greiling King, are from Bloomberg. And of course, our guests, Hal Hunt, event co-chair Jody Schneider, and Charlie Rose himself could all be called and are called Bloombergers. And I checked, that is the phrase that is used. Our second gold-level sponsor is Toyota, one of our longtime and most loyal supporters. Many thanks to Ed Lewis of Toyota, a member of the Journalism Institute's board, and someone we count on in innumerable ways to make the club the best it can be. Tonight's silver-level sponsors are Brown Capital Management, which has supported this dinner for a number of years. Our deepest thanks go to Eddie C. Brown, the author of Beating the Odds, Eddie Brown's Investing and Life Strategies. The American Petroleum Institute also joins us as a sponsor at the silver level. It's the third year API has sponsored this event, and we are very grateful. The National Cable Telecommunications Association as a two-time sponsor at the silver level. Rod Stoddard, NCTA's Senior Vice President for Communications and Public Affairs Services, serves on the NPC Journalism Institute Board of Directors, and we thank him for his support and enthusiasm. A new sponsor, Entergy, an integrated energy company and one of the nation's leading nuclear generators. Thank you so much to Entergy for supporting us this year. And our final silver-level sponsor is also new to us, the Azar Foundation for the Children of the World and its founder, Shaheen Mafi. Thank you for your support, Shaheen. We're still going. Our bronze-level sponsors are the Kiplinger Foundation. Austin Kiplinger is the 2005 recipient of the Fourth Estate Award, and we thank him for all he has done for the club over the years. Syngenta, a global leader in agribusiness, is a new sponsor this year. Thank you so much. AZI Consulting and its president and my close friend, Nazir Ahmed, thank you for your support, Nazir. Ridgewell's Caterers for the lovely tablecloths, and Whole Foods for again providing the beautiful flower arrangements. Important announcement. Please check your printed program, and if there is a dot on the back, you get to take the table arrangement home. You can check later. Okay. Okay. Okay, let me carry on, please. Okay. And I'm pleased to say that the head table flowers, will be donated to Children's Hospital. And on a personal note, I would like to extend deepest thanks and appreciation on behalf of the National Press Club Journalism Institute to Michiko Mitarai, who is with us tonight from Tokyo, for her generous donation made this week in support of the Institute and its scholarship program. Thank you, Michiko-san. So let's have a round of applause for all our sponsors and supporters. You are doing your part. You are doing your part to ensure that a vibrant free press will continue to serve the watchdog role that our founding fathers intended. Now, please enjoy your delicious dinner prepared by the club's executive chef, Susan Delbert, and her talented staff. I'll be back in a little while to introduce our guest and our honoree. Bon appetit. Good evening once again. I hope, dare I say, I know you all enjoyed this wonderful dinner, and that you took part in our silent auction, which is now closed. It's time for the moment we've been waiting for, our tribute to Charlie Rose. We will begin with a video from from some of Charlie's friends and colleagues.
Charlie, I wanted to add my name to the very long list of people that are saying bravo to you for the Fourth Estate Award. Anybody who knows you and works with you realizes they could not have made a better choice. Just this morning, a guest said what we hear around here a lot. Charlie, that's a very good question. And I say, yep, that's what you do every day. Then the other day, a woman stopped me on the street and said to me, Gail, you and Nora are so lucky. You get to see Charlie Rose in person every day. What's that like? I said to her, it's heaven and an honor. So once again, I say to you, Mr. Rose, nicely done. And now here's your world, Charlie Rose, in 90 seconds.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, September 9th.
I'm Charlie Rose.
CBS This Morning co-host Charlie Rose.
Today on Face the Nation, breaking news. Tonight, terrorists behead another American.
Wait a minute. Because you want to draw a line and say this is crime and this ain't crime.
No, I don't want to join the line. I just want to speak about the specific instance of that murder for which you're in this place now.
All right. Say what you have to say.
I'm asking.
How does a man maintain his strength, his belief, his integrity on an island where he's been sentenced to life in prison?
Give us your best Elvis. My best Elvis is weak tonight.
All right.
You know I can be found. That's all I can do. Sitting home all alone. If you can't come around, at least please telephone. My message to the New York press. Don't be cruel.
What holds it together? What's the glue of this show?
The egos are in check.
What does painting bring you?
Relaxation and a whole new way of looking at the world.
Tell
For
me
example, well, I'm sitting here analyzing that tie you have and trying to figure out if I can mix paint to be able to...
Are you serious?
The FBI, if in fact it now wants to get content, if in fact it wants to start tapping that phone, it's got to go to the FISA court with probable cause and ask for a warrant.
But has FISA courts turned down any request? Would you give up chemical weapons if it would prevent the president from authorizing a strike?
We'd do anything to prevent the region from another crazy war.
Your life is interesting, and it seems that it's not a carefully thought out and well-planned life.
What a nice way of saying that.
It's
I've
like,
never heard anyone be so compassionate towards me. That's really nice.
it's true. It has the additional advantage of being true.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm a little bit, seat in my pants. I try to be just alert, and available.
I have a motto that I go by, which is, I'm not going to go out and try to figure out how to fill my life. I want to go out and find out how my life is going to fill me.
What would make you not run for president?
Well,
what would be a compelling influence?
It would be wholly personal. It would be that I'm about to have my first grandchild, which I'm thrilled about. I can't wait.
We're very proud at CBS News that Charlie is getting this big award. It's such a great testament to what he does every day. He's just the best, and it's so important and so big for us that, Charlie, I want you to know that we're seriously considering also making you Employee of the Week.
Many people couldn't believe that Charlie was coming to morning television when CBS This Morning started coming up on 3 years ago. But that broadcast has exceeded everybody's expectations, and of course it has, because of all of Charlie's qualities that you're honoring tonight.
Charlie, you're really, Charlie, you're the best in the business. Nobody does interviews as well as you, among many other things. You're a great reporter and a great friend, and we're incredibly proud of you. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Charlie.
And then you go to your show, which is probably the lowest tech show.
In the history.
In the history.
But the interesting thing has more tech people on it than any other show.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised that you're the first guy who gets the iPhone, because you haven't gotten a second light.
The other day in the halls of CBS, I passed a quote by Edward R. Murrow. It said, "To be persuasive, we must be believable. To be believable, we must be credible. To be credible, we must be truthful." This resonated with me because this is what Charlie Rose is.
Do you think they see in Peter something they do not trust?
I think it's because the press has been more interested in Peter's past failings as a family man, for which he has long since atoned, than they are in Mike Kristiva's present ones.
Kristiva's present ones. That's an interesting idea.
It is so appropriate that the Fourth Estate honor Charlie for his show and his career and for what he's done to elevate the national discussion and make one be proud to be a journalist today. So Charlie, this bud's for you, pal.
Would you go back? There.
Exactly.
What,
We're
this?
thrilled with the way things turned out.
Yeah.
But just yesterday, your charity, the Gretchen and Elliot Schwartz Foundation, announced a $28 million grant for drug abuse treatment centers throughout the Southwest.
On my first morning at WNET, Charlie was the first person I met. That was back when his show was done live at 11 p.m. Now, anyone who knows Charlie well will realize those were exciting times. Since then, he has brought around that famous oak table a wide-ranging group of guests for some of the most interesting conversations ever brought to television. I am grateful that he has made his home on public television, and I will even forgive him for the many nights he has kept me up far too late, not being able to shut off the television before the final credits roll. Charlie, you are a great friend and an extraordinary colleague. Congratulations on this much-deserved recognition.
Charlie Rose, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is one of the greatest interviewers of our time because, first of all, he knows so much. His intelligence, his intellect, but his ability to allow himself to be vulnerable enough to question and in a space that allows the other person to also show their vulnerability is you can't compare it.
Charlie, congratulations on winning the Fourth Estate Award. I cannot think of anyone who deserves it more. Partly because I can barely think of anyone who deserves it at all, but that's not the point, Charlie. I'd rather you had it than anyone else.
Folks, who knows who'll show up in our celebrity ball pit? Hello! Broadcasting legend and anchor of CBS This Morning, Charlie Rose.
Our first speaker tonight is Nora O'Donnell, who greets viewers each morning as Charlie Rose's co-host on CBS This Morning. Nora?
Be gentle. Be gentle. I do know all the secrets. Thank you so much, Myron. I'm delighted to be here tonight and delighted to be here to honor my dear friend Charlie Rose. And we should give a special shout out and recognition to Paul Needham and Sam Kulak, who worked so closely with Charlie and put that beautiful video together. So kudos to both of you. Gail said it, and I believe it true too, that every day I feel like the luckiest girl in the world to wake up every morning with Charlie Rose. I get to host a show with a man whose charm is effortless, whose curiosity is endless, and his interviewing skills are unparalleled. And now, before I go into a long dissertation about how great Charlie Rose is, I want you to know that I'm just the first of 3 people who are going to be toasting Charlie Rose tonight. Yes, 3 people are toasting Charlie. It's sort of like Charlie Rose's philosophy on cocktails. 1 is never enough, and 3 is never too many. I'd also like to say that this is the first time that I'm toasting Charlie Rose this year, but no, this is starting to become routine. Charlie has gotten so many awards this year, as you saw on the video. The Peabody Award for his interview with Bashar al-Assad, Time's 100 Most Influential People, where Charlie humbly acknowledged that he's never been on a list before with the Pope. He guest conducted the Boston Pops this year and was honored in New York by the Museum of the Moving Image. And he was named North Carolinian of the year. Because what you need to know about Charlie Rose, the man who has the cell phone number and emails of kings, emirs, and presidents around the world, is that this really is just a boy from a small town in North Carolina who learned to drive on his family's tractor. And he was an only child, and his parents owned a store called the Rose Gin and Supply Store. And Charlie once told me that he learned everything he knows and his love and curiosity about people by talking to other people in his parents' store when he was growing up. So I think we're all familiar with Charlie's professional accomplishments, and you'll hear more about those, I think, in some of the other two speeches. But there's a couple things I want to point out. Although Al Hunt has just instructed me that I do have to tell these stories. We all know Charlie's great, but Charlie does stumble a bit in the morning when it comes to pronunciations. It has to do with his Carolinian accent. So sometimes when we're talking about Kim Jong-il, he points out that Kim Jong-il is from North Korea. Sometimes we find out that there have been skiers lost in an avalanche. And when we were reporting on the World Cup, Charlie noted that they were in Rio de Janeiro.
Nobody's perfect.
And then this part's off the record. And then when we were reporting on the Asiana flight that crashed, Charlie went a couple times repeatedly and just could not pronounce Asiana. And he stopped and said, "God, I need to be," and Gail said, "bitch slapped?" Because I hear that's effective. So suffice it to say, we have the most fabulous time in the morning. We really do. We're the best of friends, and I hope that's communicated in some ways in the morning. You get to see how much we love and adore each other. But a couple things I just want to say, which is, first, as I was thinking about making these remarks tonight, and some of us live in a content with preordained content as journalists. We write for newspapers, magazines, shows that have a content. Charlie Rose created his own content, a distinct format, right? 1 hour, one-on-one, with the most consequential people of our time. And in the 30 years he's been doing this, he's not just been informing us, he's been archiving history. So you're a great journalist, but in many ways, a great historian. And that's something to be deeply proud of. And there is no one in journalism who has mastered the art of the question better than Charlie Rose. He asks the best questions. They are short, they are succinct, they are not pedantic or perfunctory. He asked those questions not because a producer wrote them for him. He wrote them because he is endlessly curious about what makes people tick, and he listens. And then finally, a bit about this man's character. I had just joined CBS this morning, and our executive producer, Chris Licht, who is here tonight, came into my office and said, "So Charlie wants you to do an interview with him of Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad." And I said, "Well, that's one, I mean, that means a lot, that's really kind, but you know, it won't happen." And Chris said, "Well, why?" And I said, "Well, I'm a woman, and Mahmoud Ahmadinejad does not do interviews with women." And Chris said, "Well, I think Charlie took care of it." And I said, "We'll see, we'll see." Well, sure enough, the day arrived, and we walked into the hotel suite at the Warwick Hotel in Manhattan. And of course, there were about 40 or 50 Iranian press aides and security, and they would not shake my hand because I'm a woman. And then we sat down across from the Iranian president, and they told me not to cross my legs because I'm a woman. And so we go to start the interview, and Charlie says, "Mr. President, this is the woman I co-host my show with, and I brought her with me here today because she's much smarter than I am." So this says a lot about the character of Charlie Rose. So, Charlie, we toast you tonight for your many professional accomplishments. But know that the real reason that we treasure you and love you is for what a good man you are and for what a good friend you are to so many of us here. Congratulations.
Thank you, Nora. And now offering a different view of Charlie Rose, perhaps, is Al Hunt from Bloomberg View. Al?
Is he going to kiss you on the lips, too?
I hope so.
Don't tread on me.
It is really a pleasure to celebrate my great friend and this well-deserved Fourth Estate recognition, and to do it with Leon and Nora. It's good to be with one of the Charlie Roses this evening. The CRs include that early morning CBS anchor and the must-go-to program for serious viewers. It includes the distinguished host of the late-night PBS program, a table where some of the most important conversations in the world take place. It often sets the agenda. It includes the regular contributor in the legendary weekend show, 60 Minutes. It includes the host and moderator of high-level forums in places like Sun Valley. It includes the host moderator of his own forum in Colorado. And it includes the bon vivant, toast of the town, the companion of the likes of George Clooney, Catherine Deneuve, Mike Bloomberg, and Mike Krzyzewski. And it includes the pride and joy of Henderson, North Carolina, the starting center for the 1960 Henderson Bulldogs basketball squad. Charlie, your mom and dad would be so proud, really. I am fortunate to have, and have for many years, had Charlie as a really precious friend. Usually he gives me advice, but one time he called about 3 years ago and asked what I thought about the offer that he had from CBS. I cautioned Charlie, don't do it. Your PBS program is a crown jewel of broadcast journalism. It's your signature. And I went on for some time saying, you can't give that up. And I finished, and he said, I'm not going to give that up. And I thought, he's really crazy. Early morning to late night. You've pulled it off. Baby, you've pulled it off. Charlie, you're so omnipresent on television that the other day, the Chuck Schumer word, you were overexposed. But let's face it, you're not a kid. I know because you're my age. But it's amazing that someone of his generation so adapts to modern technology. Charlie tweets in Morse code. Unlike so much of television today, it really is refreshing and informative to watch you and Nora and Gail in the morning. I really mean that. CBS loves Charlie's professionalism and also his generosity. One Friday, he asked his producer, Chris Lick, about his weekend plans. Chris said he was going to Tampa to celebrate his mother-in-law's 93rd birthday. The next morning, Chris's cell phone rang. It was Charlie to wish her a happy birthday. Chris handed the phone to his mother-in-law and said, one of your favorite TV celebrities is calling. They talked for 7 or 8 minutes. She was glowing. She hung up and handed the phone back and said, how do you know, Dr. Phil?
I love that. We have a lot in common.
On PBS, and I must say on Bloomberg the next evening and around the globe, we are dazzled by the quality and extraordinary diversity. You do in-depth series on the brain. You interview presidents, dictators, and the most important figures in the arts, literature, and sports. A fascinating conversation one evening with Luciano Pavarotti and the next with LeBron James. Now, sometimes it can be hard to keep track, like asking Leonardo DiCaprio about third world debt or Warren Buffett about Iggy Azalea's latest hit, but we get through those. Your show really is, Charlie, in the great tradition of Edward R. Murrow. He once famously interviewed Albert Einstein and Marilyn Monroe. He said it was easier to keep looking Einstein in the eye. You are our Murrow. And I hope those young journalists who aspire to be Charlie Rose know how hard you work to get here. Jumping at any task, locating at any venue, working any hours, always bringing integrity and values. The honor roll for this prestigious award is a who's who of America's journalistic giants. Walter Cronkite, Scotty Reston, Teddy White, Mary McGrory, Tom Brokaw, Marvin Kalb, and your CBS colleague, Bob Schieffer. You richly deserve to be on this roll. Congratulations, dear friend.
Thank you, Al. And please welcome our final speaker, Leon Wieseltier of the New Republic.
Charlie Rose is my cherished friend and my most gifted interlocutor and my wicked co-conspirator. But this evening, I want to praise the man in only one of his aspects and one of his achievements, the one I know most well. I want to praise the man by praising his table. Charlie Rose's table, that glistening oaken oval in the dark, is one of the central institutions of American politics and culture. One day it should be displayed at the Smithsonian or at the Museum of American History as incontrovertible evidence of a time in which thoughtful conversation fulfilled its proper role in a democratic society. A democratic society is especially dependent on the quality of its citizens' opinions. Opinion, after all, is the very currency of its political order. Freedom of thought and freedom of speech are sacred in our society, not least because we rely so much upon thought and speech in determining the course of our public life. Our system is determined by what our people think. It enjoins them to think. A thoughtless citizen of a democracy is a delinquent citizen of a democracy. If our understanding of the issues of the day in our politics and in our culture is coarse, then our politics and our culture will be coarse, because the fate of our politics and our culture is in our hands and no one else's. This imposes an extraordinary intellectual responsibility upon ordinary people. Intelligence, in other words, is one of the conditions of democratic flourishing. We need not be a nation of intellectuals, but we must not be a nation of idiots. In an open society, we must expect people to accept the difficult task of thinking critically about many of the influences and the interests that seek to shape their views in one direction or another. But beliefs are not only foundational, they are also manipulable, highly manipulable. And the inculcation in our citizenry of the ability to recognize their own manipulability and to offer resistance to it is one of the primary tasks of American journalism and American media. With certain notable exceptions, one of whom we are honoring this evening, our journalism and our media are not acquitting themselves altogether brilliantly at this task. Charlie's table is one of the islands of intelligence in our society and in our media, one of the saving remnants. That blessed table is where sound bites go to die, or more precisely, to be murdered by substantive analysis. For decades now, Charlie has offered a sanctuary for substance, a refuge for thoughtfulness, a shelter for reason and rational discourse. The conversation at Charlie's table is the antithesis of our national conversation. The national conversation consists mainly in spin and branding supported by powerful political and economic interests. It grows more and more shrill. It is really just a national shouting match. Our national conversation also grows shorter and shorter, I mean in the duration of the individual interventions. Our technology is accelerating our national conversation out of all meaningfulness. Speed, after all, is one of the enemies of serious thought and serious expression. Someone finally invented a medium of communication in which there are no physical limitations of space, and everything on it has to be 400 words. Then someone just as ingeniously invented a medium of communication in which all statements must be limited to 140 characters. And this reduced the national conversation to a frenzied exchange of slogans or worse. You can adequately express a belief in 400 words or even in 140 characters. What you cannot adequately do is give its reasons. And without the reasons, beliefs are just bumper stickers. The discussion of reasons takes time, and time is what Charlie Rose stubbornly insists upon for the discussions at his table. At Charlie's table, you can utter full sentences, and lots of them, and even paragraphs, and even lots of paragraphs. What he grants his guests.
I know everyone is anxious now to hear from our honoree, but I want to tell you just a little bit more about Charlie Rose. For 23 years, not much has changed on the set of Charlie Rose, as Nora and others have referred to. The round oak table, the plain black backdrop, and an astonishing array of guests that really is unmatched by any other program. It seems that no one can say no to Charlie Rose. He is one of the most gifted interviewers of our time, and it is no wonder, given again, as Nora explained, that he started when he was just a child. His family ran a country store in North Carolina, which he describes as a hearth, where members of the community and passersby would gather. He discovered early in his life that the key to engaging others was by asking lots of questions, and so he did. And he learned that he could talk to just about anyone, even though he was just a kid. He came to Washington in the summer of 1964, excuse me, a key moment in the civil rights movement, and immediately caught the political bug. After pursuing a pre-med degree at Duke University, earning a JD from the Duke School of Law, and working briefly in banking, he found his true calling in television. In 1974, Bill Moyers hired Charlie to serve as managing editor of his PBS program, Bill Moyers International. 40 years later, after anchoring and producing multiple network programs, he remains active as ever on PBS and other outlets as the host and executive editor of his own program, Charlie Rose. The program also airs on Bloomberg Television. In addition to all that, Charlie wakes up at 4:30 each weekday morning to co-host CBS This Morning with Nora O'Donnell and Gayle King. Charlie Rose gives us all a window to the world through conversations, and I stress the word conversations, with artists, scientists, athletes, and politicians. He is respected as a thoughtful, objective interview who is both tough and fair. Charlie, if you could come up for a moment. Charlie, it is my deep honor, my highest honor, to present you with the National Press Club's Fourth Estate Award, the 42nd Fourth Estate Award for Career Achievement. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You gotta get it.
You have it? Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I choose people who talk about me well, don't I? Al Hunt, my young friend, who, not getting in Duke, coming out of New Jersey, decided to go to Winston-Salem. One of the great journalists I've ever known. My friend who knows more about politics than I'll ever know, and has taught me more than I can ever thank him for. My beloved Nora O'Donnell, who, can you imagine what it's like to get up in the morning, knowing you're going to go sit next to Nora, who you have as much admiration for her brain as you do for her looks. And that says a lot. And to sit between her and Gail, it's a joy. Al was right. I did say I'm not going to give up one, but I'm so glad that I do both. The morning has added so much to what I do. It's given me opportunities to do so many things, but it's also given me a chance to get to know her and to get to know Gail. I'm here because of many people. I wish they could be here. My parents would love to hear this and to know, as all sons and daughters want to do, to say to their parents, we did okay, I did okay. It's been, for me, a remarkable life. I sit in a dark room and I talk to the most interesting people in the world. They all want to come for reasons I don't know, but they come. We ask and they come. You know, everybody, politicians and poets, businessmen, warriors, writers, everybody who has a story to tell. What happens at that table, that dark room with that oak table, is a sense about who we are and what we want to be, and all the things that we can learn about that and put in context. I have believed about two things since I began the program that we now so much identifies me, the PBS program, which is that it's about storytelling, it's about curiosity, and it's about questions. The power of questions has always been something that I've believed in. It has been seen this week because of what Nora asked of the commissioner of the NFL. The power of that question has been the most talked about subject of this week, in addition to all the things that are going on with respect to the president and what's happening. You know, I come here this evening, I look at Marvin Kalb, who I admire so greatly, and I look across and I see people like Chris, and who's given me an opportunity to work in the morning, and those people have put together a whole range of people who simply work very hard to help me and Nora and Gail in the morning tell stories and introduce you to what's changing between the last time you paid attention. What a great life this is. If I could do anything this evening, I would dedicate this award to me, to people like those journalists who have given their life to cover the story, the story, the story. That's what makes a difference. It's easy for me to sit in New York and in Washington and interview people. It requires me to work hard, it requires me to be good at my craft. But there are people in journalism every day who are risking their life. And now we see so graphically what journalism is about. You know, people who are willing to go in harm's way, and the awful, tragic things. And there's this evening another story of an aid worker from Britain who's been beheaded. It is, if I could say to that young journalist, you have chosen a noble profession. Be imbued with the idea of telling the stories of our time. There's so many people on these walls out there who have done that. It is imperative for us to tell those stories. And it's imperative for those of us who do it in some comfort to make sure that we do all for those people who go in harm's way. You know, for James Foley and Mr. Sotloff, you know, they have courage, and they all went there to tell a story. Journalism is the first draft of history. And I am so very lucky because so many people have helped me be here. I stand on the shoulders of my parents who didn't go to college, but gave me the opportunity to go to any college that I wanted to. I stand on the shoulders of friends, some of them here and some of them up here, who I've learned from by who they are, by what they do, by their character and their competence, all of that. This honor means everything to me, and for it to be done with such great humor by my friends, Nora and Al, to be done by Leon with such a powerful historic sense of what it means to our society, to have journalism, to have dialogue, to have the capacity to try in troubled times, and these are troubled times, to understand it. This award, this press club, has bestowed on me an honor that so many other people deserve. And I only wish that those who have died in the service of this noble profession, you know, could share it with me this evening. You do me honor. No one is so lucky as I am. And to look at you and your faces and your enthusiasm for this noble profession warms my own heart. I'm a lucky man once again tonight. My only regret about this evening is that I have to sit there and watch these images and watch myself grow old on camera. It's the only thing wrong with spending your life in front of a camera. It does not lie. But it does chronicle a remarkable opportunity. I know of nothing I would rather have done with my life than what I do now. I can't imagine not doing it, and I don't plan to not do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Charlie. When you plan an evening like this, no words can express our appreciation for the powerful messages that have been delivered tonight. I have to say, on a personal note, that being National Press Club president has been one of the great honors of my life, and this evening has been one of the highlights of my presidency. And the highlights are not over yet. One of the great benefits of winning the Fourth Estate Award, Charlie, is that it comes with a lifetime membership to the National Press Club. Yes, please come, and then just wait till and this, it says 2015, but it gets it.
Al just want to know if you have to have a membership in the AARP before.
No.
You qualify
No.
for this.
And you're exempt from
Because he wants to know
annual
if he can get in.
Right.
He's been eligible for at least 10 years.
I think we all have.
Thank you.
Welcome, Charlie, to the National Press Club. We hope you will come by often when you're in Washington, and congratulations. We have one more surprise. Tonight's program features a likeness of you created by Matt Walker, Politico. We have the original sign and frame drawing, so you will have a lasting memory from this night. And finally, Charlie.
It's like Christmas.
And just like at Christmas, all the gifts are well deserved. And finally, Charlie, I'd like to present you with the traditional National Press Club mug, which perhaps you'll want to use on the oak table each night.
Myron, he would really like this, because when Gail and I misbehave, he would want to go.
Very good.
The way, I mean, you've never hit this thing harder.
Okay, great. And it's still standing. They're still holding it. Thank you, Nora. So perhaps, Charlie, you'll want to use this mug on the oak table each night. I notice you do use a blue mug, and so this might be a good substitute if you wish. Or perhaps you might want to use it as your morning cup of coffee with Nora O'Donnell. If you feel we need to give Charlie a gavel, this one says President of the National Press Club, but, huh? Tell me what it should say, and we'll get it done. And we'll have to call you all back to present it to him. We'll take care of that, okay?
Bang it on Monday morning.
Right.
Right, all right?
Agreed. We will get you the gavel.
Or, wait a minute. Or as Gail says, bitch slap it.
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure we're happy to end this evening, but I'm sure you will all be happy to hear that we will end this evening with cordials in the Holman Lounge. But before that, I need to say a few final words, and please bear with me. First of all, if you bid on items in the silent auction, be sure to go to the front desk to see if you won, and to pay and pick up your items, of course. This evening's event would not be possible without the hard work, the very hard work of some very special people. In particular, I would like to thank the National Press Club and the National Press Club Institute staff, the NPC's Executive Director, Bill McCarran, who makes this event a priority every year, and Julie Hsu and Nicole Hoffman deserve our thanks for all they did in putting this evening together. Thank you, Julie, and thank you, Nicole. And let's have a round of applause for our executive chef, Susan Delbert, and her staff, who provided us with a great meal for the evening. I also would like to thank, at the head table, Jody Schneider and Laurie Russo. Jody and Laurie. And the Ho and the entire Fourth Estate Dinner Committee for all its work planning this event, and the Fourth Estate Award Committee for selecting Charlie as our award winner this year. And finally, a word of thanks to all of our members who attended tonight's dinner. You are the club. You are what makes it such a special place, and I am so happy and honored to see so many of you here tonight. It's been a great evening, and it is not over yet. Please join us next door in the Holman Lounge for a nightcap. Thank you all, and good night.